Is going on YouTube? It's Brendan from Market Makers. Guys, notice anything different? Yeah, the mustache is pretty much gone. I'm moving to South Florida in a couple weeks, guys, so I've been packing the last couple of days. But the mustache was just so encompassing. I had difficulty drinking out of mugs. It was hard to drink coffee. I was drinking everything through a straw, and I don't want a crazy tan line across my face. So we will make do, but I will be in the tropical environment very soon, and it'll be matching my shirt, so I'm very excited about that. This is the Equities video, guys. This is our pregame kickoff for Equities. Equities do open, I believe, 6 o'clock Eastern time on SimpleFX, the sponsor for this video. Check out that platform, trade equities, commodities, and of course you can trade Forex and other things there, up to a $5,000 bonus. The link in the video description, as well as the tutorial of how to use the platform. Fantastic place to trade, guys. I think you'll really like it. Very simple to use, just like the name. But let's talk about what's happening in equities. Let's talk about inflation. Let's talk about some fun stuff, okay? That's what I like to do on this video. So what we have going on this week, guys, earnings. We talked about this last week. I mentioned in my Bitcoin video, Taiwan Semiconductor, great earnings, okay? Great earnings. However, JP Morgan missed by 28%. It's going to be a mixed bag, okay? This is Q2. So it's going to be a mixed bag for these Q2 earnings, but we have a lot of big events coming up at the end of this month. Just as a reminder, July 28th is the GDP report, okay? July 28th, the day after the Fed raises rates. This could easily show we are already in a recession, a technical recession, 2 quarters of negative GDP. Right now, the Atlanta Fed has us, I think, at minus 1.4 as a prediction for Q2. So we already would have 2 quarters of negative GDP, hence a recession. But the important thing is none of the earnings have really been revised yet. Bank of America just revised their earnings this past week. Their lead analyst came out, said 3,600 on the S&P. Well, let's look at the S&P. It's trading at 3864. So basically, she's saying, I think her name's Savita, is saying that, you're going to have volatility, but at the end of the year, you'll be at 3600. I don't see how that's possible. Now, and that's the lowest on the street, guys. That's the lowest on the street. So there's numbers that are up towards the 5,000 number, okay, which is a new all-time high. So you have to be aware. That's what I'm saying. These things take time to unfold, and what happens is recession, contraction of the economy, rate hikes, record high inflation, all of this weighs on everything. But unfortunately, because of the lag in reports and the fact that the reports themselves are lagging data, this all takes time to unfold. So what we do is we trade the markets, we look at the time frames, and as you guys know, we look at predictions based off of TA. Remember, for the equities, we're trying to rally, okay? July is typically a bullish month. Here's the weekly on the S&P. This is the broader market. July is typically a bullish month, so the equities want to rally based off these earnings. And if they fail here and they do come down, whether it's because the Fed raises interest rates 100 basis points at the end of this month and then the negative print comes out, we could rally until then, or we could just fail simply because the earnings don't meet the street's expectations. That's a real possibility. Again, I can't tell you what the earnings are going to be. These are all based off estimates. This is what the analysts do on Wall Street. But if we do fail, I would anticipate, just like we talked about in the last video, guys, bouncing up off the 200, 233 in a super bearish situation, coming down to the 45 in each time frame. But in this video, I want to focus on the daily and the 4 hour, okay? So looking at the daily here on the S&P, looking at our wave projection up, your 618 is something to pay attention to, as always. 39.31 spot 5. As you can see, we have this double bottom structure here. You could get bullish here. You have your 1-1 angle, your 45 angle, and your next candle could be coming up doing something like this, okay? The daily time frame, your 200, 233. If you watch my Bitcoin video, I added this volume weight at 233, and you can watch that video to see why. But it gives you a different look. So these are my only real moving averages I use, guys, especially in descending markets. I'm just looking at the long-term heavy resistance moving averages. But this would, 1618, 42, 43. I don't see any possible way that you're getting up to that high. To me, it looks like you're going to struggle here, just like you did over here, and potentially stay in this wave pattern formation or just be rolling down. But we shall see. The volume is low. Always look at your volume on the daily. You're just in an accumulation pattern here, okay? 4-hour time frame. This is where I'm looking to set up trades. Again, 200, 233. The blue and yellow line is the volume weight at 233. You got a lot of action coming up here on these indexes for this week, okay? They're all pumping up. Now notice the 200 simple moving average rejected you here. Got a really nice price decline. Now when I'm shorting the markets, I short the NASDAQ and the Russell, as you guys know. The S&P stays the strongest longest. We have history to look at, market history with previous bubble cycles. The S&P is always the strongest, okay? So I look at the S&P for the health and welfare of the broader market, but when I go to short, I typically short the tech sector. And of course, the Russell has a lot of zombie companies. Like 20% of the Russell can't even service their own debt. So this is why I like to short those indexes. But let's look at this because you got rejected here. You're pumping back up. Here's your 200. I mean, you're getting close. Here's your 233. Here's your 1145 angle, another bearish line here because you're underneath it. And there's your volume weight at 233. Now, if we're going to marry this with like a wave projection, right? Let's get a wave projection. We'll go to the swing low here, up to that swing high that I colored on, down to the swing low. And to me, you're looking right here at that 1 fib, 3902. Turn the brightness back up. 3902. There's your 233, your 200 beneath it, and your 233 volume weighted right here. This is where the action could be, and I want to check and see if we're going to make some type of top, okay? This is what I'm looking for, just like we always talk about in the indexes, guys. The indexes are predictable. You get double tops when you start topping out. You see this? This would be 2 in a row here. This could end up being a third one. You get a rise, you get resistance, you fall down, you try again, you get resistance again, you fall down again, and then you break your top, and then you come back and trade in a lower range, okay? This exact pattern could end up playing out again, so it is something to watch. And that last ascension, and we're going to go over the stocks 50 here as well, okay, because that is for our European friends. And again, Ray Dalio does have a $7 billion short position because you have to disclose it by law in the European sector, which we don't have to do on ours. So I want to look at what he's looking at because he's been doing a great job. So 5%, minus 5% move, obviously with leverage. This is a very nice trade. And that's if it just stayed in this range. You could always have it fall out further. 40% of these companies are reporting earnings, so you have to pay attention to what's happening in the S&P. Let's look over at the NASDAQ here on the daily. Again, checking the volume. Look how low the volume is. Non-existent, getting a price rise off a very low volume, below average volume. So you're building volume divergence, looking at your money flow. You are bearish on the money flow. You're stuck in the middle of the EMA cloud, but you're getting a price rise. So you always want to look at your projections up and down. And let's go ahead and do this here as well. Trend-based fib. Grab this, swing low, swing high, swing low. 618 is at 12,058. Do you see that? So that's something to watch. Let's try a shift pitchfork here. I like my shift pitchforks. Do the same layout that we just did. As you can see, well, that's really noisy. But basically, it's just further confluence. Your 618 ends up lining up right up here. You see this? So the 618 lines up. Let me go ahead and turn that off. That didn't work out. All right, but this is what we're looking at here, 618, and then the 1 fib's at 12,513. This is on the daily time frame. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame because this is where the action is once again. Okay, look at the action here. So you have your 200 that you've already pumped above. Now that, remember, the NASDAQ does this. Okay, the NASDAQ does this, but just like the S&P, it also does this. Double tops galore, okay? Double tops. You have a double top there, 2 double tops in a row, and now you're pumping back up. The NASDAQ likes to split the moving averages. You see this? It did it here. It pumped up above the 200, 233 after splitting it and then broke down in between them. And now you're doing it again. You're pumping up to the 233. This is your volume weighted one above it. I want to see if that can capture the top this time. Just doing an experiment with it. But we'll see if this can capture it. And so I'm watching this very closely, guys, because these indexes, they're doing these same patterns, and these are big trades, especially with leverage. So we look at this, a couple of these trades here. take a price range tool here from this double top at the peak down to that base. I mean, this is 7.43% move. Looking at this one, and obviously this is an ideal situation if you capture the peak. This is almost a 6% move, okay? So watching this very closely because as you guys know, tracking 4-hour time frames very closely, this in a descending market and understanding that macro market direction, which you guys do from watching this channel, but understanding that macro market direction, the market will struggle in the 4-hour time frame with long-term moving averages. And this is what you get. You get big trade setups if you can spot the tops, understand you're in distribution and Wyckoff up here at these tops and look for these tops to form, okay? So let's go ahead and do a wave projection here as well. Get a wave projection, swing low, swing high, swing low, and there you go. You're pumping just above the 618, about to impact the 233. Let's see if we can knife up through it. And if we get bullish, guys, we'll be watching this and we'll start flipping to the larger time frames too, like the 8-hour and the daily to look where those moving averages are. Remember, the 4-hour is what you got to flip first. The 4-hour is basically your bellwether for these descending markets, as you can see, because you get a lot of good trades in here, a lot of chop, a lot of shapes get made. Let's see if we can get the shift pitchfork to look better on the 4-hour time frame. And let's try to shift again. And we'll try the exact same layout. Swing low. And I messed it up. Too much coffee. Swing low. God. Come on. This trackball mouse is not cooperating. There you go. That's better. A little bit cleaner than it was on the daily. So you can see you're hitting your 382 with the 233. It's kind of interesting. Your 233 volume weight is lined up perfectly with the 618 and the pitchfork, punched up above your median line, above the 45. So lots of resistance right here in this area, guys. Something we got to watch very closely. Money flow is bullish. You are above the median line, above the EMA cloud, and you got room to run on the 4-hour on the NASDAQ. Let's go ahead and check out our Russell. Looking at the Russell on the daily, again, very clearly defined Wyckoff. And again, all of these guys, very clearly defined double tops on the daily, but you're pumping up, right? You're getting a little bit of a reversal. So we're watching that as well. But this also gives you that double bottom structure here in the current trend on the daily. So you're trying to get that reversal. And for the Russell, looking at the 618, 1776. 1776, you've got up there once, you got to up thrust, and from this, you get signs of weakness. If we can punch up there again on the daily time frame, you could just be looking at another sign of weakness, trying to hold this range. And always, guys, that would be at that point, if you do end up coming up there, it's a triple top, which again is a bearish structure. So you still have your neckline in play for further bearish movement. Now the daily, got a couple normal volume bars in here, but overall, by and large, below average volume. You can clearly see that. You are stuck at the bottom range here of your EMA cloud, hovering just on the, it looks like you just crossed from the median line into the bearish sector. Let's look at the 4-hour on the Russell. 4-hour time frame. Again, action on the 4-hour. Money flows bullish and you got room to run. Now looking at your layout here, you got above the 382, the 0.5s at 1754 to 618 because of the way the fib laid out is at 1772, okay? Now when you look at your structures, you got above it here, you got that one wick above it. You got 3 attempts, you got 1 wick above the 618. Russell's trying to pump back up. And of course, the Russell, because it is so weak, it struggles with that 200, 233 mightily, okay? You can see that. Struggles with it here very mightily, so you got to pay attention to it. Here you had the volume weight at 233 and the 200 simple moving average both hit that exact peak. It nailed that peak. So I want to see the Russell come back up and you have the 200, 233 are now lower. You see that? Because remember, these are descending. Price will rise to resistance or fall to support. Meanwhile, your long-term moving averages are moving down. Now, because the volume weight, it incorporates volume into the calculation, it is higher up. So I'm watching this range very closely. We have our fib projections, we got our moving averages, and we want to look and see if we can find some shapes if we start to make a top just like this and get a double top and get an excellent price decline along the way. Very important to watch, okay, because these are fantastic trades. Almost a 6% move, 5 spots, 6, 7%. So we want to see if we can keep this bullish momentum, even though as of right now, printing volume divergence. Be curious to see what these earnings reports come out this week, if this gives these indexes some more bullish momentum. 4-hour time frame, guys. let's flip over to stocks. The stocks 50, this is European. These are big companies. This is like Siemens in Germany, Volkswagen. These companies are here. Again, Ray Dalio has massive short positions on some individual companies, but they're all in the stocks 50, okay? So this is why I'm tracking it. Now, looking at this, I did an overlay of the S&P. It tracks pretty closely to the S&P. On the daily, this is very bearish. You're in Wyckoff here. Here's your selling climax. Here's your reaction. You have an up thrust here. You fell back down into your range. You printed a double top here, fell back down. You're trading in this bottom echelon, and this is very important to pay attention to. That 618 at 3401. If you lose this, guys, again, just like you see on the American indexes, you see what you have here? You have that's very badly drawn. You have a very big double top, okay? On the daily time frame, if you lose this neckline, you're coming further down to this 1-1 angle would be my prediction, somewhere around that $3,000 range, depending where you fell through it, okay? So this is something to watch, and this is just, you have some vacillation here. You're 0.5 above you at 35.21, and when you look at this on the 4-hour time frame, you get a better picture. Look at your long-term moving averages all clustered together, okay? They're all heading to 35.25, which is at 35.21 on the daily, and you have this bullish momentum here, just like in the American indexes. You see this? In the 4-hour time frame, bullish, crossing the median line in the bullish territory with room to run on the money flow. Do we have volume divergence? Let's see. We have low volume, not much of a price rise yet. I wouldn't call it volume divergence, at least nothing clear yet. But this is clear that you want to move up. You cross the 45. You cross your descending 45. So you got up here. And if you can get up to the 1 fib at 35.25, this is an area to watch with your 200 and your twin 233s. And if you end up just like the Americans like to do here, you like to print double tops, okay? So you look for these double tops to print and possibly give you further descension back down. Again, mixed bag with earnings, guys. Something to pay close attention to. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and come check out our channel, guys. Discord channel, the join button is below. Telegram in the video description for trade signals only. And you guys have a fantastic Sunday. New videos coming tomorrow, my friends.